Right. Okay. Is I all back? Yes. Shall we start? Can you all let me know if you're back? There's something on the chat box. Others, I all back? Yes. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Around 15 of you all are back. Other half. Yes. There's something on the chat box. Difference between demand. Yes. That's there. That's there in the next part of the chapter. I'll teach you that. Demand and quantity. Right. Okay. So looks like most of you all are there, apart from a few people. Right. Okay. We'll start. This one I will explain it on my whiteboard case. Right. I'll give you all time to write. Don't worry. You can take some time. You can write. Don't worry about this. Okay. Don't worry about writing now itself. Focus on understanding it, right, and putting it into your head. Right. You can even take a screenshot and write if you want to later. Right. But focus is on trying to somehow understand the concept. Right. So we're looking at a normal good. We're looking at, okay, the question is, how does the substitution effect, income effect, and the price effect, right, affect a normal, inferior, and a given good? Okay, so we'll talk about this very carefully. Now, in a, right, let's talk about, I'll recreate the table over here. We have a normal good. Then I'm talking about price change. Price change. Talking about decreasing price. Yeah, yeah. Talking about decrease in price. Then I'm talking about increase in price. Then I'm saying here, and the price. Right. So we have a normal good. We have the substitution effect. We have the income effect. And we have something called the price effect. Remember, guys, price effect is a combination of both substitution and income effect. Right. So here is the price change. Right. Now we'll start with one. Okay, we'll start with a very simple thing, guys. I want all of you all to focus, right, and give me your fullest attention. Right. I will make this as easy as possible, but you need to focus. If you come in the middle and daydream and come in the middle, this will not make sense. Okay. Right. Listen. When we talk about the substitution effect, right, we look at the relationship between the quantity, the price, sorry, look at the between the relative price and the quantity demand. Okay, very easy. We'll think of, right, the relationship between relative price and quantity. Right. My first question to you guys: for a normal good, when there is a decrease in price, right, for a normal good, when there is a decrease in price, what happens to the relative price? Does it increase or does it decrease? When there is a decrease in the price, what happens to its relative price? Relative price means compared to the other good, does it become cheaper or does it become expensive? What happens? When the price of a good decreases, its relative price decreases or increases? Just quick, give me an answer. When the price of a good decreases, does the good become relatively more cheaper? That means relative price goes down, decreases, or does the good become more expensive? So when the price of a good decreases, guys, the relative price also decreases, right? The good becomes cheaper, no? Right? So when there is a decrease in price, what happens? Relative price decreases. Yes. As a result of the relative price decreasing, what happens to quantity demand? Relative price is going down. So now will people buy more of it or will people buy less of it? Think the good has become cheaper. The relative price has gone down. People would buy more of it, right? So as a result, what happens? Quantity demand increases. So I will, within brackets, I will say QD is a plus, right? Means what type of a relationship is over here? Relative price decreasing, quantity demand increasing. Is it a positive relationship or a negative relationship? It's a negative relation. So is that clear, guys? How I got the first one, right? So therefore, how can I conclude? What is the conclusion that I can come, right? I can say the substitution effect for a normal good when the price decreases is negative. Yes, price change row is this. Price change is this. Decrease in pricing is what price change. Right? Is that clear, guys? How I interpreted it, what I wrote. Right. So what I wrote is, what did I write? I said the substitution effect. Right? What am I saying? The substitution effect for a normal good when the price decreases is negative. That's what I'm saying. Then we'll go into this quickly. Now I want more answers. Now you all understand the story, right? Can you tell me when there is an increase in the price, what happens to the relative price? Does it increase or decrease? When the price of a good increases, what happens to its relative price? Relative means compared to the other goods. What happens? Relative price increases. No, come on, very simple now. Given that the relative price increases, what happens to your quantity demand? Quantity demand decrease. Right? So your QD is a minus. Right? What type of relationship is relative price increasing, quantity demand decreasing? It's again a negative relation. So how can I interpret this? Right? I can say the substitution effect for a normal good when the price increases is negative. So remember, for a normal good, the substitution effect, whether price increases or whether price decreases, the substitution effect is always negative. Is that clear? No, relative price is not the price of related goods. Relative price means the price of your good compared to the other good. So when the price of your good decreases, your good is relatively cheaper. That's what relative price is. Relatively compared to the other people, your good is more cheaper. Your relative price is down, decreases. That is what I'm saying. We are not talking about the price of substitute changing or price of complementary changing. No, it's your price that is changing. Is that fine, guys? Any questions, please ask. Any questions, problems, anything that you're not clear of. Don't be shy, just ask. How can we say relatively cheaper? Right. So when the price of your good goes down, right? Think practically, right? When the, now let's say there are two goods. There is Anchor, there is Maliban, right? Your good is Anchor. Okay. Anchor is 1,000 rupees, Maliban is also 1,000. Okay. Your good price decrease. Let's say it went to 700. So now what happens? I'm saying a decrease in price of your good. So when there is a decrease in price of your good, now element didn't change, created good didn't change. What happens to your relative price? So 700 is relatively cheaper than 1000, right? That's what I'm saying. So when the price goes down, the good becomes relatively more cheaper. Is that fine? Yeah. And when the price goes up, the goods become relatively more expensive. Any other questions, guys? Okay. So let me summarize this quickly again, right? When we are looking at the substitution effect, we look at the relationship between relative price and quantity demand. Based on that only we say whether it's positive or negative. Relationship between what? Relative price and quantity demand. So when the price of a good decreases, what happens? The relative price also goes down. That means the good becomes comparatively more cheaper. When the good becomes comparatively more cheaper, what happens? People are now buying more of it. Quantity demand increases. Relative price decreasing, quantity demand increasing means there is a negative relationship. Same way, when the price of a good increases, the relative price increases. Good becomes more expensive, right? So when the good is more expensive, people are buying less of it. Quantity demand goes down. So then what happens? Right? Again, negative relationship. Is that fine, guys? Check the whole relative price story. Okay. Done. So now we'll go into the income effect. In the income effect, we are going to look at the relationship between real income. In other words, we call this purchasing power and quantity demand, right? Your real income, not your nominal income. Okay, right? Can you all tell me, when there is a decrease in price, what happens to your real income? Does it increase or decrease? Prices have gone down. What happens to your real income? Or in other words, your purchasing power now. Is it higher or is it low? Your purchasing power is high, no? Your purchasing power increases. So when your purchasing power increases for a normal good, right? Your income has gone up now. Your real income has gone up. What happens to your quantity demand? Quantity demand increases, right? QD increases. So then we have a QD plus. So as a result, what can you say about the income effect? Is it positive or is it negative? The income effect for a normal good when the price decreases is positive. Is that clear? So how can I interpret this, or how can I read this? I can say, right, what can I say? Say the income effect for a normal good when the price decreases is positive. Is that okay? Any question? Fine. Right. Then we'll look at the final one. That's the income effect when the price rises, right? Yes, when the price rises, can you tell me what happens to real income? When the price of a good increases, what happens to real income? Does it increase or does it decrease? Real income decreases, right? When your real income decreases for a normal good, what happens to your quantity demand? Your real income has gone down now. Your quantity demand decreases. Real income decreasing, so QD is a minus, right? Real income decreasing, quantity demand decreasing. What type of a relationship is that? That's again a positive relationship. So how can I conclude, or what can I write? My conclusion would be, copy this. The income effect for a normal good when the price increases is positive. So that is what I can conclude over there. Is that okay, guys? Are we fine? Income effect and substitution effect for a normal good. Okay. Then we will go into the price effect. What is the price effect? The price effect is a combination of both. Yeah, relative price means, guys, remember, relative price means when the price of your good changes compared to the other good, what happens, right? Now, for example, let's say there are two teachers, like me and someone else. Both are charging 4,000 a month. I decrease my price to 3,000. So then what happens? Relatively, I am cheaper, no? Both were charging 4,000. I decrease my price to 3,000. I am not saying the other person is decreasing price. I'm only talking about me decreasing my price, right? Our good price goes down. So I decrease my price to 3,000. Therefore, my good is relatively cheaper now, right? So my relative price decreases. Relatively, I am more cheaper than. That's what relative price means. Exactly. Relative means compared to another person, compared to the other. Fine. Take some time and think, you should get it, right? So combination of both substitution and income effect. Other words, this is the overall relationship. So here what do? We focus on the relationship between, right, between price and quantity, right? Price and quantity. For a normal good, right, as a result of the price increasing, right, price increases, what happens to quantity? Price increases, what happens to quantity? Sorry, price decreases. Sorry. Talking about a price decrease here. Price decreases, what happens to quantity? If price decrease, QD will increase, right? So can you see it is a combination of what? QD of your good, right? So when the price decreases, quantity amount of your good, right? Quantity amount of your good increases. See, it's a combination of these two. Here, according to substitution effect also, we said QD is increased. Income effect also, we said QD is increased, right? So overall, the price effect, which is a combination of the substitution effect and the income effect, also says that this increase. So there's a combination of this and this, right? Right. Now, for example, now this you will study later in a more advanced level. Let's say you do microeconomics, let's say at a university level, right? So there, now for example, you will study if the price decreases and QD increases by 100, you will dig deeper and see because of the substitution effect, what was the increase? Because of the income effect, what was the increase? For example, let's say because the substitution effect QD increased by 60, because the income effect QD increased by 40. So therefore, overall, the price effect, right, was 100. So that is not there at your level, right? Maybe if you study further at a university level, microeconomics, you will study this, right, with much more complex graphs and all of that. But simply remember, price effect is a combination of substitution effect and the income effect. So maybe according to substitution effect, QD is increasing by 60. Maybe because of the income effect, QD is increasing by 40. So overall, price effect, QD increases by 100. So these numbers are not there at your level, right? But I just put the numbers so you can understand it better. Is that okay, guys? Yes. Okay. Then what type of relationship is this? Price decreasing, QD increase. That is a negative relationship. Okay. So what can I conclude? What is my conclusion? My conclusion is that, right, the price effect, right? The price effect for a normal good, when the price decreases, is negative, right? Guys, remember, you having a negative price effect means you comply with the law of demand. Now, what is law of demand saying? Law of demand is saying there's a negative relationship between price and quantity demand. See, negative relationship between price and quantity demand. So if you have that, right, if you have a negative price effect, what does that mean? It means you comply with the law of demand. That means you are, right, agreeing with the law of demand. So a normal good complies with the law of demand. So it agrees or it works according to the law of demand, right? Then we'll go in the last one. Right now, this is easy since we know the thing, right? So when the price of a good decreases, let's say price increases. When the price increases, what happens? Quantity demand decreases. So can you see, according to the income effect and the substitution effect also, it said the same thing. So income effect also said QD will decrease minus. Here also they said QD will decrease minus, right? So as a result, what is the price effect? It's a combination of both the effects, no? So therefore, income effect, sorry, the price effect also says the QD will decrease. So again, maybe, right? Let's say QD is falling by 50 here, right? Why did it fall by 50? Maybe because of the substitution effect, it fell by 20. Maybe because of the income effect, it fell by 30, right? So maybe that is the reason, but these numbers are not there in your context, right? So that is what has happened. So then what type of relationship is this overall again? It's a negative relationship. What can we conclude? We can conclude that we can conclude that, right? The price effect for a normal good, when the price increases, right? Increases, in it's negative. This all the fees. Why is QD plus in the second column on the price? This one here. Yeah. So this is what happens, right? So overall thing, when the price decreases, what happens to quantity demand? Quantity demand increases. No? So price decreases, quantity demand increases. So QD is a plus, it's going up. QD is increasing. That's why I said QD plus, right? So that's what is that. So now here, how did this QD plus come? Because according to the substitution effect also, it says QD is increasing. Because the income effect also, it's saying QD is increasing. So overall, price effect also says QD is going, right? So once again, given that your this one is negative, what can you say again? You can also say that it complies with the law of demand, right? So you can put that half there. Is that clear, guys? If you are daydreaming in the middle and came and saw this all of a sudden, it will not make sense. But if you're following step by step, it should have made sense. Daydreaming, you come all of a sudden and see a board like this and see something like this, it's going to scare you, right? And also remember, guys, this is the correct way. Some teachers teach it the wrong way, right? So how you interpret this changed around 2-3 years ago. Okay, so this is the correct way that I am teaching you. There are some teachers who are still not updated. So if your school teacher teaches some other nonsense, right, says this is positive, this is this thing, this is that, right? If they teach what I am saying, then it's fine. But if they're teaching you something else, you agree to that person, say, okay, don't go and argue, right? You leave that, you study this, right? Because I'm telling you, there are still some teachers who are not updated on what is happening. Fine, guys. Questions, problems, issues. Okay, price effect, I'll talk about it again. Right. So, price effect, remember, is a combination of both the substitution and the income. In other words, we are simply looking at the relationship between price and quantity demand. Now, here we looked at the relationship between relative price and quantity. Here we looked at the relationship between real income and quantity. Here we are looking at the relationship between price and quantity, the overall relation. So overall, when the price of a normal good decreases, right? When price decreases here, right? The quantity demand increases. That's what we know, right? When price decreases, QT increases. Now that is also supporting with what we learned before, because I'm saying price effect is a combination of substitution and income. So substitution effect is also saying QD is increasing. Income effect is also saying QD is increasing. So this is also correct, right? So because price effect is a combination of both of them, right? Does that make sense? So therefore, when price decreases, QD is increasing. Yeah, complying with the law of demand. Take some time, guys. Now, these are definitely not things that even I understood the first time that was taught to me, but if you understood the first time, perfect, right? Because, we go to a very big class with around 200 people and you sit in the backboard, then your friend is troubling you and you're gossiping, and all of a sudden when you see a board and when all of this is written, it doesn't make sense, right? But if you're focusing, should have been there. If you missed it, guys, please go back within this week, watch that recording, and if you have doubts after the next class, please come and get it clarified. Don't drag this, right? Because just alone, if you look at this, it's not easy to take, right? So if you have taken down, you can take down, or else I will also send the screenshot, right? You can also get a screenshot if you want to, and you can write it down within the sheet, right? So nicely write it down. Now this is only normal good. We have inferior good and we have Giffen good, but that we will go faster now, right? Now I will not be writing these again, because now these, substitution effect, we look at the relationship between this. Income effect, we look at this relationship, right? So that doesn't change. That's the same for whatever good, right? So now we will go to our second type of good, that is a inferior good. So in your table, you have the second type, inferior good. So we'll go to price change. We have a decrease in price. We have increase in price. Right. Then you have the substitution effect. You have the income. Then you have the pricing. Okay. Income, substitution, and price. Right. So let me draw the price change. You have decrease in price and you have increase in price. Right. So now this will go a little quick, right? Now I have kind of taught you all the story. You know this. So now in substitution effect, we know what do we look at? We look at the relationship between relative price and quantity demand. Now we are looking for an inferior, right? Can you tell me, when the price of the good decreases, what happens to its relative price? Increases or decreases? Will be quicker now, because you can take some time later and copy, right? Don't work on copying it now, right? You take time and copy. That's not the main motive, right? If the relative price decreases, guys, what happens? Sorry, if the price of your good decreases, what happens to your relative price? The relative price means compared to the other good. What happens to your price now? Does it increase or does it decrease when there is a decrease in price? Think. When your price goes down, When your price decreases, what happens to your relative price? Your relative price decreases, right? Don't go and say increases. Remember, always remember that when the price of your good goes down, your good relatively becomes cheaper, no? Compared to the other people, your good is now cheap. So your relative price also decreases. When the price decreases, relative price also decreases. When the price increases, relative price also increases. Don't confuse that, right? So when the relative price of a good decreases, what happens to quantity demand? When the good has become relatively more cheaper and all fit, what happens? Quantity demand increase. QD increase. What type of relationship again? Positive or negative? A negative relation, right? So what can you conclude? What is your overall final point? Your overall final point is, right? When the price of an inferior good decreases, sorry, no, we'll go with the same thing. We'll go with the same format. Confusing. The substitution effect for an inferior good when the price decreases is negative. Is that okay, guys? Fine. Yes. QD. The same thing, guys. Shall we look at income effect now? Income effect for this one. What can you say? Income effect, we look at the statement I'm just giving. If you want, you write down. If you know how to read this, then you don't have to write the statement, right? So the statement is the summary. What is the statement? The substitution effect for an inferior good when price decreases is negative. So if you can figure this out, then it's okay. You don't have to write the statement. But if you're learning the first time, I feel it's okay if you write it, right? Okay. So can you tell me, and this is where the change happens. Very nice story, right? Yes. When the price decreases, what happens to real income? Increases or decreases? When the price decreases, when the prices of goods go down, real income, in other words, your purchasing power increases, right? Now tell me, okay, in an inferior good, we learned inferior goods before. When your income increases, right, real income also included, increases, what happens to quantity demand? Inferior good, right? Remember the ceiling fans we talked about? When your real income has gone up, QD will now decrease, right? Okay, QD decreases. So QD here is a minus, right? What type of a relationship? A negative relation. Is that clear, guys? Yes. For an inferior good, this change came now. See, for a normal good, this was positive, right? When your real income increased, you bought more. But for an inferior good, when your real income increases, you're buying less, right? So it's a negative relation. So what can you say? You can say that the income effect for an inferior good, when the price increases, when the price decreases, is negative, right? Now, guys, you will see a very nice situation over here when it comes to price effect. Now, I said price effect is a combination of, right? Very good when the price decreases. No, we're talking about a price decrease. Negative income effect for an inferior good when the price decrease is negative. That's what I'm writing here. Yeah. Income effect, inferior good when the price decrease, negative. So I'm going that circle. Okay, right. Now, the price effect. When the price when the price decreases, what do you think happens over here? The price effect is a combination of the substitution and the income. According to the substitution effect, they are saying QD is increased. According to the income effect, they are saying QD is decreased. Right? Price effect is a combination of substitution and income effect. What do you think happens to the quantity? Does it increase? Does it decrease? Does it remain the same? When the price decreases. It's a combination of this and this. What happens? Yes. What happens? When the price decreases, QD, does it decrease? According to the income effect, it says decrease. Substitution effect says it's increasing. So price effect is the combination of both. What should happen? According to the price effect, guys, when the price decreases, quantity demand increases. Why? The reason is the negative substitution effect is more powerful, right, than the negative income. How does, let me put this like this. Right. Okay. So the substitution effect for an inferior good is more powerful than the income. So let me show you what would have happened, right? What would have happened over here is very interesting story. Okay. When the price of the good decreased, according to the substitution effect, the quantity demand would have increased by, let's say, 100, right? Increased by 100. But according to the income effect, quantity demand would have decreased only by, let's say, for example, by 60, right? So therefore, overall what happens? Price effect is a plus 4. Do you understand? Why? Because this effect is much more stronger. So this 100 is much more bigger than this minus 60. So that is why overall you still have a increase in Q. The substitution effect is greater than the income effect. So what can I'll just make a small note over here, right? What is the note? The negative substitution, right? Negative substitution effect is stronger than the negative income effect. So if you want, if you think it makes it easier for you to understand, guys, put numbers and keep, right? Like I put numbers here, right? So maybe because of this QD increases by 100, maybe because of this falls by 4, let's say 60, right? So overall, this increases by 40. That is how it works. So this 100 is much bigger than the 60, right? 100 is bigger than 60. So the substitution effect is more powerful than the income effect. So therefore, it works. This is that clear, guys? Yep. Fine. Became too complex all of a sudden. Yes, please don't daydream. If you daydream and come back, you are lost and go on for a 6. All right. Okay. So then I'll just remove these numbers because it looks bad. But if you want, okay, I'll write these numbers in this one. Okay, so maybe here it's a plus 100, right? Any questions? Here, let's say it's a minus 60. So overall, QD has increased by plus 40. Any questions, guys? See if you have, guys, any part that you don't understand that doesn't make sense. Because I'll tell you, this is a bit of a hard part, right? So even if you don't understand the first time, don't give up. Try your level best to try to understand. Worst case, you go back, watch the recording, and figure it out. Okay. QD of inferior good only decrease. Yes. For inferior good, remember, for inferior good, when your income increases, you buy less, right? So when real income increases also, you switch to better products now, right? So you're buying less. QD is decreasing, right? That's why when real income increases, this is decreasing. So I say minus here and I say negative place, right? Now, yes, what type of overall relationship could we have over here? Price decreasing, QD increasing. Positive or negative? Positive or negative? Yes, I'll talk about price effect again, don't worry. Positive or negative? Negative, right? So given that this price effect is negative, right? So I will, what is the summary that I write? The summary I can write is, I can say, look here, right? The price effect for an inferior good, when the price decreases, is negative. That's the whole summary point. Yes, can you all tell me, right, what I taught you all earlier now? If this price effect is negative, is it complying with the law of demand or is it not complying with the law? Price effect is negative. Does it comply or does it not comply? Comply or not comply? It complies, right? So complies with the law of demand. Okay, that is the point there. Okay, complies with the law of demand. Right. So price effect, once again in simple terms, guys, right? What is price effect? Price effect is the overall relationship. Price effect is what? It's the combination of the substitution effect and the income effect. It talks about the overall relation. So in the price effect, what do we look at? We look at the relationship between, right? Relationship between price and quantity demand. That is what we look at. So then when the price of an inferior good increases, I am saying the quantity demand, sorry, when the price of inferior good decreases, I am saying the quantity demand increases, right? Why am I saying that? How did I come to that conclusion? I came into that conclusion because in an inferior good, the substitution effect, right? This substitution effect is much stronger than the income effect. What does that mean? So according to this, right, for an inferior good, when the price decreases, substitution effect is saying QD has to increase, right? So maybe I will say QD is increasing by 100 units, right? 100 became 200 units. According to the income effect, they are saying QD has to decrease, right? So one is saying QD is increasing, other one is saying QD is decreasing. But what you need to know is this substitution effect is more stronger. So there is a bigger increase than the decrease, right? So the increase is 100, but the decrease is only 60. So therefore, overall, what is the net effect? Increasing by 100 and decreasing by 60. Overall, you are saying it's increasing by 40, right? So that is what the price effect is saying. So even when the price decreases, QD still increases, right? That's the whole story. Is that fine? Say yes. No. Yeah. Right. So then now we go to the other side case. Now other one, now once we have learned this, the increase in price is the opposite. Now I want all of you all guys to give me an answer, right? Whether you all don't write, guys, you can write it after the class. Right? Don't worry about writing, right? We'll go quickly. Yes, if there is an increase in price, what happens to relative price? I want you all to give me one word answers quickly. Relative price increases or decreases? If the price of the good increases, relative price increases. Right. When the relative price of a good increases, what happens to quantity demand? If the good becomes more expensive, relative price goes up, QD decreases. Fine. So QD is a minus. Right. What type of a relationship is this? It's a negative or a positive? A negative relationship. Right. Now I'll come to the summary in a while. Income effect, right? When the price of a good increases, what happens to real income? When price increases, real income decreases, right? Real income goes down, no? You can buy less. Now, inferior good, right? When income decreases, what would happen? Think ceiling fan. Your income went down. What would happen? You'd buy more ceiling fans, right? You will give up on the AC, right? So your quantity demand increases. QD increases. So QD is a plus, right? What type of relationship is that? Quantity demand decreasing, QD increasing. Again, a negative relation. Now, overall, what would happen, guys? If the price decreases, inferior good, QD will increase or decrease. Not if the price increases. If the price increases, QD will decrease. QD decreases. Why? Remember the reason, this substitution effect is more powerful again, right? So if I want to put some numbers, when the price increases, substitution effect is saying QD will fall by 100, right? Okay, so I'll put a different number. QD will fall by 200. Substitution effect is saying QD falls by 200. Income effect says, right, QD will increase by 150, right? So overall, what would happen? QD would still fall by how much? It will fall by 50. Is that clear, guys? Because this effect is much more strong. The substitution effect is much more strong. Fine. Yes. So what type of relationship is this? Again, a negative relation. Okay. So what does that mean? So again here, what is the reason? Reason is the same. Huh? The reason is the same. So this, right? This is greater than this. So this is therefore negative, right? Negative means complies with the law of demand, right? So this is negative, this is negative, this is also negative. Negative means complies with the law of demand, right? I'm just putting everything here, right? You don't have to write everything, but easy to keep in mind, right? So then what is the summary here? Right? The summary that I can write over here is the substitution effect for an inferior good when the price increases is negative. What's the summary I can put over here. Here I can say the income effect for an inferior good when the price increases, negative, right? And what's the final one I can say? Final summary point that I can give. And the price effect for inferior good when the price increases, negative, again. This is negative, right? So that's the whole summary and that's the whole story. Is if I am to ask you out of 10, how well did you understand? 10 being the understood everything, 0 being understood nothing. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, just to see how well you understand. Others, guys, the ones who are not replying, does that mean it's a 0? On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 means understood perfectly, 1 means understood nothing. Where are you at? Yes. So that's okay, right? So looks like most of you are a little bit of more than 5, right? I'll tell you guys, this is something, right? Something I also learned 1 month before. No, actually, no, I did not even know this when I was doing it, right? I did not even know there was something like this. It was there in the tute, but I never understood. I've completely left this, right? So even after I did A levels only, I went a little deeper. Once I started teaching only, I dig a little deeper and I also figured this out, right? So you understanding something, trust me, you are at a better level than me. But I was compared to that, right? So on your end, you need to go through again, right? Okay. So we'll do Giffen good and then most likely I'll call it a day, right? Yes. Now there are few shortcuts to remember this, guys, right? I'll give you all the shortcuts once we are done. Now, one shortcut here is, right now these are tested in MCQs. And we'll do a MCQ also, right? The inferior for an inferior good, all the effects are negative, right? So that's a very it's a quick shortcut to remember, right? So whether the price increases, whether the price decreases, whether it's substitution effect, income effect, or price effect, right? All the effects are negative. So for inferior good, everything is negative. Easy way to remember, right? So don't by heart like that. But I'm just saying for MCQs, right? You can soon think and say, inferior good, everything is negative, no? Right? You can put it that way. We'll do a few MCQs, don't worry. Right. Then we'll go to the last good, right? And then we'll do a few MCQs and we'll call it a day. I feel it's too much to go to the next part. Right. Now this is again another interesting story. Right. Price change. Price increase in price. Right. You have the substitution effect. You have the income effect, and you have the price. Right. Yes. What is a given good? Right. Yes. A given good is also an inferior good. It's a special type of inferior good, right? So I'll talk about what a given good is. It's there in our next part also, right? So a given good in very simple terms is something like, for example, for a very poor household. Okay, let me explain the story, right? So about what a given good. Again, now it's there in the later part also, then I will not explain it there, right? So a given good, I will take this thing, right? So right? What is a given good? A given good is, yes, it has a positive relationship with price, right? It's a essential good, right? Essential good for a low income household, right? What is this? Essential good for a low income household. Let's say, right? A low income household is spending some money on rice, right? So, let's say plain rice, not plain rice, let's say, rice and dal, and you have chicken. Those are the two goods. So you have a very basic one, rice and dal, the other one is chicken. Which one do you think is the more essential one, guys? Is it the rice and the dal or the chicken? Which is the essential one? The rice, right? I know for you all it might be the chicken, but for the essential people, right? For this poor household, it's the rice and the dal. Then let's say if the price of rice, right? Price of I'll say rice, right? Price of rice increases. Now, rice and dal, I'm taking both together. I'll cut the dal part, right? So we have basic rice, that means rice with dal. So let's say if the price of rice increases, what do you think people would do? Will they buy less rice and buy more chicken now? What will this poor household do? Think, if the price of rice increase, what do you think will be running in these poor people's head? Rice is the essential good, right? You know what they're going to think? This poor household is going to think, when the price of rice increase, they will now rice is the essential one, right? You can't skip rice. You have to eat rice, right? They are going to think, right? We don't even have money now to afford chicken, right? Now this is what is happening in Sri Lanka now, right? So they are going to think, right? Rice is expensive now. We don't even have money to afford chicken now. So they will stop eating chicken. They will spend that money also to buy rice. Is that clear? When the price of rice increase, how will they think? They will think it's an essential good for a poor household. So they are thinking, now we can't even afford chicken now. Chicken also, we don't have money because rice is expensive. So now what they do, they give up on chicken, spend that money they incurred on chicken also to rice. So when the price of rice increased, what happened? The quantity demand for rice also increases. Do you see? It goes against the law of demand. Is that clear, guys? Yes. That's how a given good works. It has a positive relationship between price and quantity demand. That's the whole story about what a given good is and how it works. We'll talk about this again later, but I will not give the same example and explain, right? So on your end, remember the story. Done. So now we'll go in to look at this effects for a given good, right? Easy, not hard. Now you all know the story, right? So few things, right? Price change, increasing price, you have a increasing price, right? Okay, quick things, guys. We'll go in quickly now, right? When the price decreases, what happens to relative price? Relative price increases or decreases? You should come to a level where you're fed up of answering. When the price decreases, relative price increases or decreases? When relative price is quickly, give an answer. Relative price decreases, right? So when relative price decreases, what happens to your quantity demand? When the goods become relatively cheaper, you buy more or less. Quantity demand increases or decreases? QD increases, right? When relative price goes down, QD increases. So QD is a plus. What type of relationship is this? It's a negative relation. Then how does the income effect work? Income effect says the real income. So when the price decreases, guys, what happens to your real income? Real income increases, right? Given that your real income, now remember I told you different good is also a type of inferior good. Think, when real income increases, what will happen to quantity demand? Quantity demand. A normal good, real income increase, QD will increase. Think, this is a given good, which is also a type of an inferior good. Right? It is also like an inferior good, behaves like an inferior good. Right? So it's an inferior good for an essential inferior good for a risk. QD will decrease, guys. Right? It would work the other way. So remember, a given good is also a type of inferior good. Right? So also, okay, so we say a special type of inferior. Right? So inferior good also has a negative relationship with income. So this also has a negative relationship with income. When real income increases, QD will decrease. What type of relationship is positive or negative? Positive or negative? Why? Because this is also inferior good case. So given goods are also inferior goods, right? Now, for example, if you take this, let's say, rice for this poor household, right? Now they are eating basic rice with dal, right? So do you think now, let's say right now they are earning only 10,000 a month, so they are eating rice with dal, right? Let's say their income increased to a what? Let's say 200,000. Do you think they will buy more rice with dal? No, right? They might buy 5 rice, so they might start eating biryani now, right? So the demand will actually go down. So when income went up, demand goes down. So this is also a type of an inferior good, right? So what are inferior goods? When income increases, QD goes down, right? Okay, so that's also there. So again, what is this? A negative relation. Now we come into an interesting story, right? The price effect. Price effect says when the price decreases, what do you think happens to quantity demand? According to the substitution effect, it is saying QD has to increase. According to the income effect, they are saying QD has to decrease. So price effect is the combination of both. What do you think happens? Does the QD increase? Does the QD decrease? Does it remain constant? If the price decreases, what happens? Increases, decreases? Is here, when the price decreases, QD also decrease. QD is -5. The reason is here, the income effect, right? The income effect is more powerful than, or is more stronger than, right? Yeah, the income effect is more stronger than the substitution effect. So let me give some numbers. Maybe when the price decreased for this given good, according to the substitution effect, the demand increased by 100. QD increased by 100, right? So plus 100. Okay. According to the income effect, QD would decrease by 150. Income effect is larger now, right? So therefore, overall, what happens? Overall, your QD falls by a 50. Is that clear? That's how the price effect works in a given good. So in a given good, the price effect is what? The price effect is a positive. Given that the what is relative price actually? For the 100 time guess, relative price means the price. Remember, what is relative? Relative means not your uncle and auntie. Relative means compared to someone, right? Relative. Now, for example, I will say, relative to this one, I can do this faster, right? Relative to this one, I am good at this. So, what is relative? Relative means compared to someone. Yeah. So, relative. Now, when the price of a good decreases, right, the relative price also decrease. Meaning, let's say there are two goods, the price of one good decreases. So that means relatively that good is more cheaper, no? So its relative price also goes down. That is what relative price means. That relative means the price of the good compared to another good. Remember that. Okay, right. So here you have okay, negative, positive, right? Yes, if the price effect is positive, what can you say? Does it comply with the law of demand or does it not comply with the law of demand? Complies or does not comply? Does not uh, does not comply with the law of demand. So this goes against the law of demand. See, when price is decreasing, QD is also decreasing. Law of demand is saying negative relationship, but here you have a positive relationship. Okay, why? What is the reason behind this? Right, that. Okay. No, in substitution effect, we don't consider about the subject. You consider about your good. So I didn't say the price of substitute is decreasing. Yeah, you consider about your good. Now, let's say your good is anchor, right? So your good is anchor. Your price is 1,000. Substitute is Maliban. Maliban is also 1,000, right? Your good price decreased to 800. Maliban is still at 1,000. So your good will decrease, concerned good. So when the price of your good decreases, what happens? Your good becomes relatively cheaper. No, it's more cheaper than Maliban. So your relative prices come down now compared to that person who are at a more cheaper level. That's what I'm saying. Relative price decreases relative to that person. I am not saying that person's price is decreasing. Yeah, it's the concerned good that the price is going down. It's not the substitute. Okay, so your price is going down. You're relatively more cheaper. Yeah, relative price decrease. That's what I'm saying. Right. Dun, 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 dun. Okay. Yeah. Then what is the reason for this? The reason for this is exact, right? Because what I write exact here, right? So I'll yeah, uniform, right? The reason behind this is the negative substitution effect, right? Sorry, negative income effect. Income effect is stronger or another greater than the negative substitution effect. Is that okay, guys? Fine. Yes. Yeah, the income effect is more strong. That's why it's negative. Then, okay, this one, guys, I think you all can write. So what is the summary? The summary is the substitution substitution effect for a given good when the price decreases is negative. Right. So then this one is easy, guys. So this is the complete opposite of that, right? So this we can figure out fast. When the price increases, relative price increases, right? Good becomes more expensive. When the relative price increases, people buy less of it. QD decreases. So there is a decrease in QD, right? What type of relationship? Again, negative, right? What happens when price increases? Real income decreases, right? Your purchasing power has gone down because the price has gone up. Given that your real income decreases, remember, given good is also a type of inferior good. So when your real income decreases, your quantity demand increases, right? So QD is a plus. Overall, what type of a relationship? Again, a negative relation. Then, if you look at the price effect, when the price increases, right? What happens? QD also increases, right? There is a positive relationship. Why is there a positive relationship? The reason is, if I have to give you some numbers, according to the substitution effect, they are saying QD will fall. So maybe it falls by 50. Right? According to the income effect, they are saying QD will rise. Let's say QD rises by 80. Therefore, overall, QD will increase by a 30 net effect. Minus 50 plus 80 is a plus 30. Right? So again, the reason is the same. The negative income effect is much stronger than the negative substitution. Fine, guys. Questions, problems, issues? Why will QD increase when pricing? That's what I said, right? Remember Giffen good, the whole story that I explained, right? So see Giffen good, right? If you remember the story that I explained, what is Giffen good? A essential good for a low income household. So let's say rice, right? So when the price of rice increase, how will this poor household think? They are going to think, we don't even have money to afford chicken now, right? They are buying only rice and chicken, let's assume. So when the price of rice goes up, they are going to think, we don't even have money to buy chicken now, right? So we will stop eating chicken because chicken is the more luxury good now, right? And they will allocate all that money for rice. So when the price of rice goes up, they give up on the chicken. That money also they allocate for rice. So quantity demand for rice increases. Price increases, quantity demand increases. That's what is happening there. Okay. So I'm proving it to you with the substitution and the income effect. So according to the substitution effect, they are saying QD will fall, right? Fall, let's say by 50. Income effect is saying QD is increasing. Remember, income effect is more stronger. Yeah. So as a result, overall also QD increases. And we are done. Fine, yes. Yep, okay. For a good 20. Increases. Negative. Right? So you guys, you all can complete this, right? So these summaries I'm not going to write. You can complete. No? Income effect for a given good when the price decreases is negative. Price effect for a given good when the price decreases is positive, right? So you can complete the summaries by looking at it. Do that for home work. Okay, right. This is a story. I'm guessing that you all would have made a few notes as well. I will send the screenshots on the. Yes, did you all write down? Yes. Oh no. On your tube. Yes. No. No. Right. Some of you all have. Some of you all haven't. Right. So then, we'll now because you need to look at this thing to do the question, but never mind, right? So we'll try out a question. Give me a second. There are a few MCQs, but we'll try maybe one econ past papers for the year. Hold on, and then we'll call it a day. Don't worry. Past papers, 2 and 3. Second, the latest papers only. There was a question. Okay, this one, right? Not a very easy MCQ. You need to know the story. Okay. So they've given you 5 different combinations and they're asking you which one is correct, right? So I will show you, we'll go with the answer itself, right? So look at, they're saying for an inferior good, okay? if the price falls, quantity demanded due to substitution effect. Let's go and see. We'll go to the inferior good this thing. Inferior good, when the price falls, the substitution effect, according to the substitution effect, QD has to increase. According to the income effect, QD has to decrease. So we'll see what they're saying in the question. The question they are saying, inferior good price fall, substitution effect, QD has to increase, right? So do you agree that this is wrong? Yes. Yeah. So we can cut that off. It's a little bit of a complex name. Now, inferior good, if the price rises, we'll go and see what happens. If the price rises, inferior good, if there is an increase in price, according to the substitution effect, QD will fall. Income effect, QD will increase. We'll see whether it's fall and increase. Decrease, this is correct, but this is wrong. No, this according to this, it has to increase. Wrong. So first one and second one both wrong. Third one. Now, this is correct. This is correct. These two are wrong. Inferior good, price rises, right? So this is not increases, this has to be decreased. Wrong. Then we go to last. Normal good, right? Price falls. Okay, we'll go and see. For a normal good, when the price falls, what happens? We'll go to the normal good. Normal good, when there is a fall in the price. Now that's decrease in the price. According to the substitution effect, QD has to increase. Income effect also, QD has to increase. Both the effects says QD has to increase and increase. We'll go back. Normal good, price falls, increase, increase. Can this be a correct answer? Yes, no. This can be your correct answer. Yeah. So this is increase, increase. So this can be your correct answer. We look at the other side also. Here they say normal good when price rises. So when price rises, normal good case. According to substitution effect also, it has to decrease. According to income effect also, it has to decrease. This also again. So the fourth one is your answer. A little too not that easy to figure out in the first time itself, but you know, once you get the hang of it, you can. But this is a very hard, not a very hard. The MCQ is not hard, but to do this MCQ, you should have a lot of other knowledge, right? So you need to know the whole thing that we did today to do this MCQ. So it's not a hard MCQ. They have not confused you anything. They're directly asking, but what they're directly asking is also something you have to know a little bit in detail. There was another question. No, I can't find the other question, so we'll call it a day, right? I know I'm also trained, you're also trained, right? So we'll call it a day. But guys, can you all make sure that within the week, right? So far it has been tested in MCQs, but there is a high probability that it will be tested in essay questions. It is being tested in essay questions, but not directly, indirectly. I will show you when we do, right? So we're done with this. I wanted to do these parts also. These are easy though. These are not that hard. Don't worry. Right. So we'll do it the next class. These are very easy. We can take half an hour and we can finish this and go on with the next class. So within the week, guys, can you all please make sure that you all write all of this, right? Paste sticky notes, whatever things. If you all don't have space, right? Write the things. Go through that entire area and come next week. So we will continue. So we'll call it a day. And I will see you all theory people on Tuesday, division people again on Thursday. See you. Bye. Welcome.